Okay, good evening. We will again explain the Mathematics 9 Quarter 1 Week 1 Lesson 4. So sa Lesson 4 po, meron tayong we have solving quadratic equation by completing the squares. Okay? So, yan po. So the competency there. So the learners solves quadratic equation by completing the square po. Okay, yan po ang kailangan natin. Next, what do we need to understand in solving quadratic equation by completing the squares? So we have here in an expression in the form of x squared plus bx or x squared minus bx, add the constant term which is the square of b over 2. The square of b over 2 or divided by 2 to complete the square. Okay, so yan ang kailangan natin i-add as the constant term to make it perfect square trinomial. Okay, so these are the steps. Going back, by the way. Okay, if we're going to complete this one, okay, we're going to complete this one using completing the square, using this formula, okay, we will add as the constant here, this expression will become perfect square trinomial. Okay, so yun. So the steps, number 1 step, rewrite the quadratic equation in this form. So if your equation, okay, like this. So rewrite quadratic equation ax squared plus bx equals c if necessary. Okay, kung naka-standard po siya, so i-transpose natin na yung isa, yung constant term po sa kabila. Number 2, divide each term by the numerical coefficient of x squared. So, divide natin each term, okay, term ang tawag dyan, each term by the coefficient of x squared. If the coefficient of the x squared is 1, you don't need to divide, right? So, only if that is not 1. So, this is only applicable, number 2, that is only, okay, applicable if the coefficient of the x squared of the quadratic term is not 1. Okay, next. Number 3, divide the coefficient of x by 2. Okay, divide the coefficient of the linear term by 2. So, the coefficient of the linear term is b. That's why we have here, okay, b over 2. But you have to square it and add to both sides of the equation. Okay, so add both sides. Kung mag-a-add ka dito, dapat mag-a-add ka rin doon sa kabila. That's it. Then, number 4, factor the left side of the equation. Kung nag-add ka na dito, this will make the equation perfect square trinomial. So, you can now factor. And then, the perfect square trinomial, yeah, that's why I said earlier, that will become a perfect square trinomial. Then, simplify the right side. So, simplify lang natin kung whatever yung nandoon sa right side. Then, number 5, take the square root of the expression on both sides of the equation. So, just get the square root on both sides. That's it. Yun ang mga steps natin in solving quadratic equation by completing the square. And lastly, you have to solve for the roots. To solve, we will complete the square for a while. So this is just a recall on how to complete the given. X squared plus 14x. So anong dapat i-add dyan? So the formula is, what is our formula? Going back, our formula is b over 2 quantity squared. Okay, yan ang formula na dapat natin gamitin. So going back, what is our b here? Our b is the coefficient of x. That's why you have 14, then divided by 2, then quantity squared. 14 divided by 2 is 7 squared. 7 squared is 49. So, ang i-add mo doon sa last is 49. So, that will become x squared plus 14x plus 49. So, since ito is a perfect square trinomial, okay, perfect square trinomial na yan, therefore, the factor is just the square of the factor of x and the factor of last, which is 7. So, therefore, the factors are x plus 7 times x plus 7. Yun lang. Next one, we have here. Ito. What is our b? Our b is negative 5. Negative 5, divide natin by 2. Then, square. So, squaring that one, so we have, since we cannot divide that one, so square natin. So, negative 5 over 2 times negative 5 over 2. So, negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. 2 times 2 is 4. Yun. So, ang i-add natin both side, i-add natin sa last is 25 over 4. Ang factor nito is, ang factor ng 25 over 4 is negative 5 over 2. That's why we have here x minus 5 over 2. Minus yan kasi ang given sa gitna is minus. If that is plus, then you will use plus here. The same process here. Pag plus yan, therefore plus. Pag minus yan, therefore minus sa gitna. Okay, that's it. That is completing the square. Next. So we have here our illustrative example number 2. Okay, ito. Given, our equation is x squared plus 8x plus 2 equals 0. Our first step is rewrite the quadratic equation in this form. So, we're going to transfer the 2 on the other side para to make it like this. Okay? So, c is a constant. So, therefore, that will, since na-transfer naman ito, so that will become 8x squared rather plus 8x equals negative 2. So, from here, since ganito na yan, we will complete the square now. What is the coefficient of x? The coefficient of x is 8. So, use the formula b over 2. So, 8 over 2 quantity squared. 8 divided by 2 is 4 squared. That is 4 times 4, 16. So, ang i-add natin both sides na ha, kasi meron na isa sa kabila. So, yung kanina wala pa. So, we will add 16 both sides. From here, magiging ganito siya. Kasi nag-add tayo ng 16 both sides. From here, this will become now a perfect square trinomial. Okay, perfect square trinomial na yan. So, factor niyan, at saka factor ng 16 lang. Then, square. Because the factor of a perfect square trinomial is just a square of binomial. Okay? Plus yan kasi the given is plus. Then, negative 2 plus 16 is 14. Just, okay. You can use factor the left side. Okay, perfect square, simplify the right side. Take the square root. Okay. So, we will use extracting the square root here. Since your k since this is in the form of x squared equals k, so since your k is greater than 0, then you can write it in this way. Okay? So you can write that in that way. And then, okay? So transpose natin ang 4 para maiwan ang x. So since positive yan, magiging negative 4 yan. Plus and minus the square root of 14. So therefore the roots are, because this is not a perfect square, 14 is not a perfect square, so wala yan whole number answer. So the answer there is irrational. So therefore, you just leave it like this. So square root of 14 lang kasi walang ibang factor yan, which is perfect square. So therefore, yung answer mo, or the roots are negative 4 plus the square root of 14 and negative 4 minus the square root of 14. So itong dalawa are the roots or the solutions of the given equation. Okay, yun. So yan po. So therefore, yan na po. The quadratic equation of the form x squared plus 8x plus 2 equals 0 has two real roots, which is negative 4 plus the square root of 14 and negative 4 minus the square root of 14. So yan po. This is another one. Complete the square. Okay, for example, x squared minus 6x blank. So, anong i-add natin dyan sa last? You just get the coefficient of x divided by 2. Always yan divided by 2, ha? Then, squared. And that is negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3 squared. And that is negative 3 times negative 3 will give you 9. So, therefore, ang i-add mo dyan is 9. So, ganyan lang ang completing the square. You were asked to solve the quadratic equation like this. X squared minus 6x minus 7 equals 0. Okay, so first step, transpose the negative 7 on the other side. So that will become x squared minus 6x equal positive 7. So ganyan lang. So what will you do next? I mean, use completing the square. So we'll get 1/2, 6 over 2 squared, and that is negative 3 squared, and that is 9. So ang i-add natin both sides is 9. Dapat both sides. Kung may number na dito sa kabila, both sides na mag-a-add. So, this will become now a perfect square trinomial. Minus 6x plus 9 equal 16. I-add lang natin yan kasi plus man sa gitna. So, next here, we'll just factor x plus 3. Okay. So, how will you factor? Kunin mo lang yung sign sa gitna. Minus 3. Ganyan. Dalawang factor of that. Okay? Equal 16. Then, after that, square root mo lang. X minus 3 equal positive and negative the square root of 16. Ganyan lang. Next, kunin mo lang square root ng 16. X minus 3 equal positive and negative 4. Then after that, ilalagay natin dito banda sa taas. Okay, dito. After that, i-transfer natin ang 3. Transfer natin yung 3, negative 3 sa kabila, that will become positive 3. So, positive 3, plus and minus, meron itong plus and minus, 4. And then, simplify lang natin. X equals 3 plus 4. So, that is equals 7. Then, yung isa is x equals 3 minus 4. And that is x equals negative 1. So, therefore, the solutions are 7 and negative 1. So, yun ang solutions.